Hi and welcome to this week's project. I've started right in the middle of this project really, because at first I wasn't actually going to film this bit, but then I've decided to, so we'll see how it goes on. Today I'm making up some moulds. This is a bit of lime here that I cut to the size that I required and sealed it with a varnish. Same with this one here, and then as you can see it's got grooves in here. It's also got a groove halfway through. The size of this block is 45 by 70, and this mould is going to be for casting 6 at a time, pen blanks. So I just wanted something that was a little bit smaller, possibly, that I could cast more in, and I could use thicker chunks of wood and stuff like that in it. So what I did is I just used carving tools and measured this all out, carved little grooves here. And the idea with me doing that really is when it's once I've made the mould and I use it for casting, these lines will be in it so that I will be able to take it straight to the bandsaw, and I'll have the lines there ready to cut down to size. This one is for a ring blank. The most common ring size blank that I do is 130 by 30 millimeters, 30 millimeters. So I've actually made up a blank. This is slightly longer. I think it's 45. This one's 130. So I used a bit of, this is just a bit of lino on the bottom, and I've just used a bit of HDPE chopping board. I actually bought it from Tesco's for £2, and then I've held it together with hot glue. At the bottom of these I've put a slight bit of lino just to give a lip up from where the blank will finish with resin. And on this second one here I've marked a groove out so that I should be able to see it, but I'll be able to explain more of that once the mould's done. I'm using the Polycraft silicone rubber today. I've got a couple of containers of this, and it comes with, it's the red hardener I've got, which is 10:1 ratio. So for every 100 grams it'll be 10 grams of this, or whatever it works out at. It has to be weighed. The reason that I wanted to start with this bit, the next bit with me mixing and pouring in will just be on time lapse, is because I'm going to go away and we're going to cast into these, and it's going to be the project, and then we'll see what the mould came out like with the grooves and stuff in, because it's the first time I've ever tried doing it with that. So as you know, I buy most of my moulds, but sometimes I want moulds to a certain size. So when you want them to a certain size, you just have to make them yourself. And I love silicone moulds. They're my favourite because it's just quickly out in the morning, and that's it all done. So anyway, yeah, I'm just going to actually spray a bit of mould release onto this before I pour everything in, and then there'll be a little time lapse of me making this up and pouring it in. I've no idea how much this is all going to take, so consequently why I bought a second container for it. So anyway, I hope you enjoy.
Hey, you're good at making me lose my mind, but I always come around, don't I? And I know sometimes I'm bringing you down, but I always make you smile, don't I? We're like the waves on a big blue stormy sea, but still you're the one who brings out the best in me. We're a little messed up, baby, kinda up and down, and we keep falling till we hit the ground, but then we get back up again. Yeah, we're a little messed up, baby, it's never getting boring when we keep aiming for the stars, just you and me. We always get back up again, you and me. Baby, I dream of but you. We can fight all day and make love at night, 'cause we always figure it out, don't we? Like the waves on a big blue stormy sea. We're a little messed up, baby, kinda up and down, and we keep falling till we hit the ground, but then we get back up again. Yeah, we're a little messed up, baby, it's never getting boring when we keep aiming for the stars, just you and me. We always get back up again. You and me. Messed up, baby, kinda up and down, and we keep falling till...
Okay, next day I'm going to demould. Now you see that little square there, I had an issue actually. The board from this one, although it was attached with hot glue, raised up, so I had to actually push it down with a bit of HDPE, so I'm unsure what this bit's going to look like really. Right, we'll get this.
Just you and me. We always get back up again.
It looks like I was lucky enough to get that bit down, but whether the board is stuck to that or not will be another thing. This used a crazy amount of silicone. Just going to gently ease this. Yeah, the wood actually moved from underneath it, but I'm hoping the mould will still be good enough to use. Yeah, I think it will be. We'll cut that, but that's the mould on the inside, and there's actually plenty enough there. I could always reinforce it with a bit of MDF if need so. Shame I've wasted so much resin at this side. But actually that looks pretty good. So I'll cut and tidy all of that bits up. So this is the next one, and luckily this didn't move at all. This is going to be the ring mould. Oh, and my HB came out okay. I actually carved that into the bottom of the wood. I shall keep these blanks because I may reuse them for further moulds, so I should just put these away now and keep them. Right, as you can see, I've got the line there, so I know how far to put the resin in for the mould as well. I don't know if you can see that well enough, but it's just along there. So the next thing to do is I'll get these cleaned up, and then we shall do a first casting in them, and we'll see how well they come out. Okay, so now it's time to test these moulds out. So in the large mould here, this takes 500 mils of resin with nothing in it, I've put pine cones into this one, and I'm going to be doing a range of colours, Paradise Blue, Brilliant Blue, Sky Blue and Cobalt Blue in that one. In this ring blank I've put some glow in the dark ribbons in them, greens and blues. I've also sanded all of the ribbons so that the resin will stick to them. I'm going to do a selection of greens in here. It's going to be teal, forest green, emerald green and spruce green. So there'll be 4 colours in here. I'm going to put it on a bit of a time lapse, get the colours and all that mixed up. I'm then going to leave the resin to heat up to between 110 and 120 Fahrenheit. And that's just to stop the colours combining too much. And then I shall pour them in and we'll get it in the pressure pot overnight. And we'll come back tomorrow and we'll demould and just see how the moulds worked out. First thing I've noticed with the moulds already is that they're not as solid as maybe some of the bought moulds that I have. But that could be easy remedied by making an MDF box to stick them in. So I'm not too worried about that. And obviously this blank is off angle wise. It actually goes underneath the resin at the side here. But anyway, I'll get it onto a bit of a time lapse. We'll get all this mixed up and then we'll have a look when it's all done.
We may have it all, up the ladder, down the road, different mysteries, full life mixed with tears. We are happy most of the time, and we get along better than fine. Left and right we braid, through the ups and downs we sway. It's easy either way. When I'm covered in tears, you scare away them fears. Together we know how to be more than our vows. We are happy most of the time, and we get along better than fine. Left and right we braid, through the ups and downs we sway. It's easy either way. Paper kites carrying dynamite. We are in full bloom under the moon.
So welcome back. That's them out of the pressure pot. I haven't taken them out and had a look at them yet. This one actually I didn't pour enough resin for. I don't know how I made that mistake considering I weighed it all out, but anyway I didn't. So it is slightly short, but I'll have plenty to do what I need to do with it, because I just wanted to make a couple of rings for it. So we'll get this out and we'll have a look to see how they worked out the new mould. Perfect, mould survived pretty well. So I've got the grooves on the back there, and the groove at the side for cutting it. Got a wider, slightly wider there, or slightly narrower down to 20 mils there. So that makes it easy putting it straight onto the bandsaw. It bulged out slightly here. I noticed it hasn't on this side, which is fine for the cutting. But like I say, I could have made an MDF box. I may well do at some point, make an MDF box just to sit it in, because this should last for quite a few castings, as long as I use a bit of mould release on it. That looks after it. But yeah, I'm delighted because I've got the marks ready for cutting there, so I can go ahead to the bandsaw and I don't need to set up anything. I can just go straight off and cut it down to size. And then once I've cut the top off, I'll probably just cut down the middle, and then I'll be able to slice the rest in half. So yeah, pleased with that one. So if you can see there was a little bit less resin there, but still plenty for what I want to do with it. It was slightly short. Still actually 30 by 30, so that's absolutely perfect, because these are just going to be some ring blanks, and I'm going to make some ring blanks from them. I shall cut a couple off just so that you can see what it looks like on the inside, to get a bit of an idea. Now these can be custom made for you. If you're interested in this, you'll find out. You can contact me through Etsy. I think I've got one up there, but I can make them to any size, and I'm thinking of maybe doing some smaller ones, so maybe cut in half, just to half the price, because you'd probably still get, well, I roughly go at 10 mils a ring, so you're talking 15 rings on there. So if I could cut that in half, or down to 7 rings, it would cut down the cost for you buying it, and you would get enough for 7 rings out of that. So yeah, so just get in touch. But delighted with these. You will see the pictures in just a second of them all cut up, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. It was quite a long video, and I think it's going to be long by the time I've edited it. But I hope you enjoyed. This was going right from the start, right the way through. Pretty pleased with this block. I'm hoping it cuts quite nicely. And with doing the pine cones as well in this orientation, which is just putting them in, they'll be slightly different throughout the blank, which is another thing that I wanted, instead of them all lining down into one pen blank. Anyway, thank you very much, and catch you again next time.